Or Belief with Nikki. I'm finally live. I do apologize for the those who were waiting. Number of lovely little things. Anyway, so I'm here. I'm finally live, and tonight is a conversation that is going to be kind of a surprise to some. Maybe not for others. Uh, so I should probably deal with the business side of things first. Come on in, grab a cup of whatever. Live, yeah, okay, I want to do that. Hit mute. Let's see if I can actually share this. We shall see. And it's not allowing me. How bizarre is that? It will not allow me. Oh, maybe I can do it from up here. Yes, I can do it from up here. Okay, good. Copy. So hello to the one person in chat that isn't saying anything. I appreciate you coming. Okay, there we go. There's that. And that. So just a little bit of business. Let's get this taken care of. So, anyway, tonight is all about a different kind of ET. I honestly, I don't know if it's an ET. I just know what I saw, and it shocked me no end, to say the least. It was in a psychic vision. I was on a show with the same MIB that I was on before with, as a co-host guest, and I was rather stunned. They were talking about information, and the next thing I start having are psychic visions of this ET. I'm going to call it an ET because I don't know what else to call it. And so I don't know what else to call this ET, and it was quite a shock to me to find out about it. I mean, not only that it was something real. I mean, I knew that a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of a shock to me then. Oh, let's see, so I could do that and still keep curls. It'd be nice. Not used to the long hair, even though I've had it for a while again. And so it has been a heck of an eye-opener. I am going to show the picture that I drew during the live. Oh, hello. Hello, Pumpkin Farm. IPPO and Kitty, hello. And the others who are watching. Welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. I am Nikki Jacobs. I am ET abductee, psychic medium, an unwilling participant in what I can only classify as SSP, because I don't know what else to call it. I know that there is another name for it. And that's a whole nother subject. So if you have questions, and I'm not doing psychic stuff tonight, I've been way too out of it to do that. But I'm fascinated if anybody has any questions about this thing. How I saw it, I will get into all of that. It's just taken me a little bit regarding business stuff here. That's been a bit unexpected. I'm trying not to do that kind of thing anymore. There we go. Anyhow, so like I said, if you've got questions, ask away. Let's This is going to be one of those interesting ones, to say the least. I didn't really know what I was going to choose to talk about today. And I'm a half hour late, so I do apologize to those who were waiting. I usually get quite a connection with folks who follow. Um, and in the grand scheme of things, I'm a very small podcast in comparison to folks who have 1,000 or 5,000 or 15 million followers. I'm small potatoes when it comes to that kind of stuff. But my ET abductee experiences are quite real. I wish my mom were still alive. She would definitely verify stuff. Hello, Leo. I appreciate you coming in. So I'm just trying to get all this set up. My normal live broadcasts are Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. I'm in Washington State. And I'm still trying to get stuff set up, but I'm getting there. Like I said, it's been kind of a wild ride today, to say the least. Just a second. Let's try this again. See if this will work. Anyway, so ET abductions, lifelong. So I was on this podcast on Thursday, which is why I didn't do my show, or I don't like calling it a show, but anyway, I didn't do my broadcast on Thursday like I normally do. Because I was asked unexpectedly to come in and be a co-host / guest on somebody else's podcast, and to do a part 2 of this MIB that I have now met. This is the second time I got an opportunity to talk to him. He is the real deal. And he's very retired. He's, I think, in his 70s, and actually talking, which is kind of a big deal in a lot of people's things. And he's not revealing anything that should be too shocking in the grand scheme of things. There's a lot of things, a lot of Hollywood has really, in the what was it, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and I believe mid 80s, they had a location in Hollywood, or in Los Angeles, where they had oh, good grief, no, go away. Where they had, I don't remember what the ranch was called, but they had a great big movie studio. And I believe it's been since bought out, like in, oh God, somewhere between 2014 and 2022, I think. Anyway, and some mega multimillionaire bought it. So I have no idea what they're doing with it. I just know what I've researched and what I've looked into a long time ago and all of that. Anyway, so this gentleman was talking about how many Hollywood, this Hollywood studio and the different Men in Black and the different government folks were part of that studio and doing a pretty significant slow drip factor into movies and things, and it really was quite fascinating. So when I got the opportunity to talk with him 2 weeks ago, it was a heck of an eye opener on a number of things. One regarding, so for those that didn't know, I've also read a book that had the government's, and it did not have any of the seals in it. That's a whole different subject. I found out from him that if it had seals in it, on documents, that I could be prosecuted. But he had said that he highly suspects that it was a conglomerate, and I told him which conglomerate that I knew of. I'm not saying the name because I do not need more targeting. But I will say this, it starts with a letter R, capital letter R, big, gigantic conglomerate in aerospace industry. So he goes, yeah, that would do it. So he ended up telling me that to him it sounded like that book of documents that I knew of since I was 17, 18, 19, in the 1980s. That's a story in and amongst itself. That book was likely obtained, the documents were likely obtained through a government contract. And they got all the documents from 1932 until 1983, 84, 85. Now, the reason why I'm saying 83, 84, 85 is solely because I've got my memories locked down in a very specific way, and yes, you can do that if you know what the hell you're doing. Sorry, I'm trying to get my computer all set up. Anyway, and so I've had a lot of attempts from, they were retired military with CIA that I know of. Hey, gibberish monster, I'm glad to see you back. Thanks for coming back and finding me. I appreciate that. I remember you from last week. And so it was quite a hell of an eye-opener, because as I knew it, and I have been forbidden from the other side to actually obtain for sure where the information came from. It was forbidden for a lot of years, and it was only in the last 6, 7, 8 years, I'm going to say 6 to 7 years, that basically that I was allowed psychic access. And with that psychic access, I was given the name of the conglomerate. I was given different information as to, yes, the CIA was involved. Yes, the different things. Hello, Amy. The correct number would be on the second page on a standard form. You mean, hey, Amy, it's good to see you. The contact number. What do you mean the contact number? And what do you mean standard form? Standard form of what? Are you talking the book? Are you talking... So Amy is one of my regulars. Oh my God. Hey, Chris. It is really good to see you. I hope you have some time off the book. Okay. Contract, the book. Yeah. Hello, Smallwee 6528. Welcome. So he stated that he highly, based on his experience, it was this book was highly likely in the possession, all the documents were in the possession at one time by this corporate conglomerate who's got a contract with the US government. And somebody, I have no idea who, I have not looked, but have some downtime. Give you a great big hug. I haven't seen you or talked to you in a while. So, anyway, and I'm glad, I hope you're doing well. Anyway, so point being is that this MIB said, very retired MIB, said that he highly suspects that this government book was these documents, these files, these hidden files were copied in a specific way and then put into book format. And hey, little Cam, it's good to see you here, dear. And in the process of dealing with book format, Yeah, I do remember seals on it. There is in my memory. I sound That's the other thing, is I've got a photographic memory, which is why this has been such an issue with certain things. Um, for them regarding me, because I have a photographic memory. And I can lock certain sections of memory down. And in the process, he so this MIB believes that's why have been targeted, because not only do I have the photographic memory, and the fact is that the conglomerate didn't want anybody knowing, that didn't even want the government knowing, that they had made copies, and that somebody, either off-site or on-site, turned all the documents into a full book. Now, here's the other side to this. I was watching a friend's show, Lynn Wallington, who is now Lynn Hurley, and she knew me well. I haven't talked to her in a while. I keep meaning to check in with her. But anyway, so she had a podcast called Rebellious Ufology, which has been changed to Rebellious 1776, I think. Anyway, and so point being, she had a Mufon Director on, very well known Mufon Director named Tom Whitmore. Sorry, just unexpectedly forgot his last name for whatever reason. And Mr. Whitmore, okay, that's got to go. There we go. Mr. Whitmore stated publicly, when she asked my question, is there such a book? And he explained that there have been fakes out there, but that there is, quote unquote, a legendary book in the government. Oh, good. Thanks, Chris. I'm glad to hear that. He says Lynn is doing well. I was talking with her the other day. Awesome. Yeah, I need to touch back, and because I miss talking to her. She's a neat lady. So anyway, neat, great, whatever. Language. Hey, folks, you're dealing with a Gen Xer here. So that's something. Anyway, allegedly. Yes, allegedly. And so allegedly there's this legendary book. And so the whole point is that it explains why I've been that's good to know. I didn't know that, little Cam. Good to know. Anyway, it also explains a lot of the questions and statements I've seen over the course of time regarding in different chats that you and I have been in. So that actually makes sense to me now. I was wondering. I was thinking you were somewhere between 20 and 28, thereabouts. Not too far off. Anyway, so point being is that there's a legendary book in ufology that the government has. And there's also the quote unquote red book via Russian government that has been made public and parted out and all this stuff. So anyway, so this book that I saw, this MIB, Man in Black, stated that he highly suspected that it was a he used corporate, but I use the word conglomerate because they are a global company. Okay, you're dealing with a gigantic industry. You're dealing with billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars. Yeah, made public. Yes, made public. Got it, dear. And so, anyway, point being that, I appreciate the reminder, Chris. Thank you. Point being is that there is whispers of this book and this information, and and it's a known, but it's classified as a legendary book, and that it's most likely locked away in one or multiple numbers of vaults because of the information on it. Well, I've seen every page. Now, the thing that Tom did talk about on Lynn's show that day, a number of years ago, was that that there have been fake books put out there, and they've been verified as fakes. And this MIB said, this book that you're talking about, he hinted along the lines that he didn't believe that it's a fake book. Because why would I be targeted the way I've been targeted if it were fake? And the fact that I've been accessed the way I have been via, whether it's been CIA, military in CIA, all the way down to the Conglomerate agency or the Conglomerate company, trying to access, using their psychic travelers, as I'm going to call them. I call them government asshats. I call them all government asshats because to me that's what they are. They are a major pain in the ass. And I'm thinking, like Black Cat and all of that. So that's why I call them an asshat. They've been extremely problematic. So getting to talk to him, the fact that he confirmed that information, even though it sounds like to him, he has enough knowledge in regarding the kind of information that he has or knew of at the time, the ability to definitely say, hey, this doesn't sound like what I know of how the government operates. This sounds more like a corporation that has contracts. It's a contract. Crap, I can't remember. I don't have the notebook. I have it all written out in front of me right now. But anyway, so he called it something very specific. You'd have to go back into I think the last two broadcasts that I've done. There was one that I did that I think was 4 hours. That's the one where I talk about the information about the book, and what he told me. So you'd have to go back in and look at that one, and listen to it. And you'll see in the description box, because I summarize things via I do all the timestamps in the videos. It might take me a while, but sometimes, but for the most part, I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 videos out of the 3 years that I've been doing, 2.5, 3 years that I've been doing a live broadcast. So anyway, so he was on, so this MIB was retired MIB. He was on talking about this one movie. He was talking about the second movie in this 4-part series. And in the first sequence that he did, he had stated that 3 and 4 are absolute shite, and that none of it's where it's all made up by whoever the writers were and did the directing and the producers and blah blah blah. But in 1 and 2, there were major sections of it that were real, and that it was sold off by a can't remember, president. He called them a presidential model, quote end quote, presidential model. Look that term up. That has very specific connotations, folks. And so, I mean, that goes into like certain classifications of how certain individuals become used. So you got to look at all of that coming into this next piece of information. So we're on a show. doing a live broadcast. There were something like 400 forms. Okay, I'll take a look at that, Amy. Thank you. There were like something. It showed like 97 in the chat when we were live, but 15 minutes afterwards, and the owner of the YouTube channel and the MIB and I were talking, and because I had a second device, I checked. There were 400 over 400 people who had come and gone and had been actually starting to watch the whole thing. So, okay, thank you, Amy. I appreciate that. She says that is the link that she put in there. That is the form. It is also used with classified reports. Okay. So this information, it's been really fascinating how all of this has come about. But this being, this entity, whatever the hell it was, okay, slapping of hands over. Okay, got it. That's what that sound was. Anyway, so what ends up taking place is there's a situation, and we're dealing with the movie Jeepers Creepers. We're dealing with that. So, here's the thing. I've had, during both shows that I was on, I had psychic hits. Like hardcore psychic hits. The first show I was on with the two gentlemen, I had psychic hits about there was on the property where the church is located, where was located. I guess it burned down a number of years ago, but that's not what I saw. Before it burned down, there was also a serial unalivist. Besides, because I was trying to figure out what I was seeing, and then I started asking my guides, am I seeing the victims of this being, or am I seeing the victims of the serial unalivist? And I got told you're seeing both, and I went, what? And so then I found out that unbeknownst to anybody else, this serial unalivist, sometime after the situation in I think the MIB last Thursday said it was 1972. The incident happened in 1972. And he stated, I'm losing my train of thought, sorry. And it's because I haven't had a lot of sleep, so that comes into play with all of this. But he stated that this entity, this being, whatever it was, and some people in chat were asking if it was a Mothman. I wasn't getting any psychic hits on any of that. It's potential that it could be, but I don't know. I haven't done I've had too much going on in my life. I haven't had the opportunity to sit down and go in and review not only my own memories, but also, because of the hello photographic memory, but also go in and do the psychic work that it needs to be able to do the research on it. But after this entity was gone, and because of the history of the property, a serial unalivist started putting victims on that property. Even though government sealed up, now according to this specific MIB, government sealed up the tube or the whatever that was that the kids had jumped down into I call it the well, I don't know what else to call it, into this quarried, secluded area where they found a bunch of bodies. But anyway, and bones and a bunch of other things. But the point is that there are victims, other victims that are not from this being on that property. And government really needs to go in and take a look, because they'll be able to track this serial unalivist. I think, based on the feeling and intensity that I got, you're looking at like 78, 79 to like 82, 83. So I would put it between 78 and 83. But there are other victims on that property. And I didn't see exactly where. Some of it I did. For location, and that was a heck of a, I was like, whoa. So I was getting inundated with psychic hits and psychic information regarding how all of this was playing out. So they really need to go in, because I don't know if this person who is the serial unalivist is still active, or even still alive. But it is something to look at, and the property is hot. That's what I was shown. That's what I was told. I don't remember the exact word my main spirit guide used at this second, but it's a hot property, and there are ghosts on it. It's not just there are some that are earthbound, and some who have crossed over and went on. And what this MIB talked about regarding this thing, going back to the creeper, supposedly called creeper, this being, he talked about that they had been tracking it since the Bermuda Triangle. That it had some kind of situation with unaliving a lot of humans and feeding, and they were finding bones and remnants of it. It was pretty different things that I was seeing. When he talked about it, I was seeing it. And actually, there were moments where before he said something, I would see it, then he'd say something, and I was like, oh my. I didn't say any of that during the show. But what I did say was that when he was talking, so we're now dealing with the second movie, when he did talk about this thing having 2 rows of teeth, that he remembers, and that it was yellow and not like paste color of what teeth are. They're not white. He was saying, no, these are yellow. These are outright yellow. And that they had to, because of the testing that they had done, essentially because of the testing that they had done from the previous victims, they had figured out that this thing had some form of Ebola and some sort of leprosy in it, and so they considered it a biohazard, and so you did not want to touch this thing. You didn't want to, and they finally got rid of this one. They unalived it, but it's not how it was in the movie. So that was interesting. Now, here's where it gets more interesting to me, because during the psychic hit, when this MIB stated something about the church and then something about the kids on the bus. And he said that the kids on the bus were actually kids who were military kids. That's actually something that can be researched. Depending upon if those kids, because there weren't very many real survivors. But there are a number of things that can be looked into if they weren't completely wiped, so to speak, the way government does things. Not wanting things out in public and domain and all of that. He said that they burned a lot of stuff. That can also be verified from county records and things like that. So, or from property records for that matter. Because they burned a lot of things because they were afraid of contamination and it was classified as a biohazard. Um, when he talked about, okay, I gotta look at my notes now. He said that they never found a spacecraft or any kind of ship. Okay. 300 bodies in the church. Some of them were stitched together. Almost all of them had their livers were missing. Hey, Angelica, it's good to see you, dear. And he was talking about adrenochrome, and well, adrenochrome is all about fear. And there are certain ETs and certain, sorry, itchy side of my nose, sorry. Uh, so he did talk about some of that in the first video, first live broadcast that we were all on. And that was fascinating to me because other people claim that there is no such thing as adrenochrome. And he was like, oh, it's very real. And when he had talked about adrenochrome, what I know of that's based on fear. I mean, when you hit fear in your body, when you have that emotion produces, it's an actual chemical reaction. I don't know what else to call it. Chris, maybe if you're still on, maybe you'll know the word for it, but there's an actual metabolic change in the body that happens when fear kicks in, especially terror type of fear. It's already been tested scientifically. You're going to have to do your own research on that because I don't remember where to find it right now. It's a hormone. Yeah, thank you. And so when fear hits, adrenaline, hi, bleak pill, thank you. Chris would know. He's in the medical industry, but so it's a hormone, and and yeah, it does pump up the adrenaline. But here's the thing: it changes in the body during the fear. And what I know is that there are beings, Beings. Hi, that's nice to see you. Bleak pill. um, so there are things that do eat and feed off of fear. Well, that's part of paranormal. I've gone up against beings, entities that feed off of fear. I've come across them in hospitals when I've been a visitor for somebody else, and I've come across creepy crawlies that I can only classify as creepy crawlies. They feed on fear itself. They feed on all of that, and it's really sickening. Chris says states of heightened fear or terror, the body creates an interesting cocktail of hormones and other chemicals. Yeah, and that's why I think that it was really going after the liver, because all of that gets put right through. I mean, that's a major section of body, and so it's feeding off of different things. So I mean, because of medical stuff in the body, I find that absolutely fascinating. So he talked about that, and he said what I'm revealing is nothing. I mean, it's nothing new essentially in the grand scheme of things, because that's all and this is so old, such old information that it should most likely not even be classified anymore, though it might still be. But there was nothing that should get him into trouble, is basically what he was saying, which I found that fascinating too. Oh, Chris, I would like to talk to you. Remind me, the Order of the Red Rose. Um, I've heard of that before. He talked about the Order of the Red Rose. Um, and I don't remember how he talked about it at the second, but that was fascinating. Um, anyway, and how that all comes into play with a whole lot of things in the United States, let alone in Europe. Um, so all of that said and done, now I'm going to get into what this thing looks like. Um, so when he was talking, uh, an image of the school bus was on the screen. They had shown an image from the movie of a school bus on a long dirt road. That's all they showed, was just an image. And I unexpectedly got a psychic hit, and it was a very strong psychic hit. And which Chris, me or there is another Chris in here? You. The one with the letter M behind the name, you. Um, so, and the psychic hit was I literally saw what I can only classify as an ET ship inside Earth. It was like it was stuck inside Earth. And then I heard the word, quote, interdimensional. Um, the kind of interdimensional that can go through mountains. And then I was shown um, a movie scene out of Buckaroo Banzai in, what is it, the fifth dimension or the eighth dimension or whatever that movie is called. Um, and I was like, wait a minute, are you showing me actual movie? Or you? And I actually had to stop part of the psychic information because I was asking the other side, wait a minute, I'm getting the psychic information. I'm being shown um, this uh, excuse me, this what I would only classify as an ET ship. And because, hello, long life ET abductee. And I've seen a number of different kinds of ET ships, but nothing that is anything remotely like this at all. And what threw me was that the guides were showing me that movie scene out of Buckaroo Banzai and with the ship, because it's exactly what I was seeing. But I was like, wait a minute, there's sections of it that aren't in the psychic vision, and they're like, correct, because it's not real. But what is real is what you were seeing, and so use that as the description. I went, okay, got it. So like there's no windows or anything like that, so I don't have a clue as to how the heck they see. Not a, I don't even want to know. That's more technology. I don't want that kind of technology in my head. I don't want the memory of it. The stuff I deal with already, I don't mind dealing. Well, it's been a long road to get me to that level. But anyway, so here's what I drew. Let's see. I want to show you this before you see my writing. Come on. I'm going to use this napkin. So I was shown a mountain, and I was shown a desert type of area. The trees are some kind of desert pine. Supposedly this took place around Reno, Nevada. And I started receiving different information. And then I realized that Walker Lake is nearby. Well, Walker Lake is a known government out. God, I'm trying to say in Reno. That's not right. Walker Lake is to the southwest of Reno, and Walker Lake is a very well-known government, if I remember correctly, submarine base or submarine. They do something with them there. I don't remember what it's called at this second. Well, it's very possible that that comes into Walker Lake U.S. Navy Test Facility. Thank you, Chris. I knew you'd end up saying something. Anyway, so the point being, yeah, see, I couldn't remember what it was classified as. And anytime I've been around Walker Lake, just driving by that lake, especially a certain section of that lake, I get violently ill. And the only time I get that kind of violently ill is because of the wrong kind of ETs. Like really detrimental ETs. And so that work with US government. And so I've found, psychically, I have found underwater bases and all of that. So anyway, so this was the ship that was, this is what I saw. In This is what it looked like. It had spikes off of it. Part of them were metal on the inside, but the outside they were this kind of like tawny brown, taupe brown, variations of different tawny brown, taupe brown, light brown, cream color look, but that's what it looked like. It had not quite a flat bottom, but semi, and it was actually like it was planted. There was also Hawthorne U.S. Army Depot nearby the Walker Lake facility. Yes, yeah, because Hawthorne is the name of the town. And that's another place I get violently ill at. That's fun. So, I don't know what's there. I don't want to know what's there. I don't want to know what's in the grand scheme of things. Hey, Robert, like coffee caramel color. Yes, thank you. That's exactly what, yeah, that's the right, yeah. So this is what I saw, but these trees are some kind of desert pine. And you had trees all around the base of it going up into the mountain, and different sections of it, but very sparse, sporadic. But all the trees at the base, there were a lot of trees at the base, and so, but none in the upper section, and then on one side of the mountain there were sporadic, very very few and far between, those kind of pine trees. And I don't I didn't think that they went higher up, but anyway, in mountains. But anyway, this is what it looked like. And the it's not so skinny from the ship, it's wide. So it you have the ship, you have the ship, and then this each spike that comes out to a point is really super wide when it attaches to the ship, and then it comes out to this point, and it's bumpy. Nothing about it is smooth. It's a completely different kind of ET ship than I've ever seen. Now, here's the other thing. I was shown that, and then right after that, like seconds after all of that, I was shown what I can only classify as inner Earth, because how I was shown the inner Earth was I was shown outside from the moon, basically from between Earth and the moon, from that level, and then whoosh, I went straight to the Earth, and then straight in I was shown a mountain and soil, and I can't even define what mountain it is, and soil, and going into inner Earth, and then I saw a city. I can't quite describe this city because part of it was tech, part of it was okay, I think I think of like the, not the Nazca lines. Arizona, there is a specific location. I don't remember if it's Sedona, but there's a specific location, some do with regularity. Oh, good to know. There's a specific location where you've got adobe, but yet you've also got villages at one time that were in mountains, And that's what I saw. I saw, but it wasn't. It wasn't Arizona. I know it wasn't Arizona. I can feel it because I can usually feel and feel the state. This was not Arizona. But it was like that. It was something that has not been found yet. Hang on one second. um, Somebody just sent me something cute. Anyway, so that was fascinating to me. I and it's a form of a city. So that's all that into it. Now here's interdimensional rocks. Oh, so this craft, this ship, for lack of a better word, that is outside of Reno. Now, is it near Walker Lake? I have no idea. Is it? I got the sneaking suspicion that it's around. When I say sneaking suspicion, because it's a specific kind. Yeah, like the Nazca cave buildings in Earth. Yes, that's exactly what it's like. And a lot of them. So, it's just real. Okay, guys, I gotta take a drink. I got a smoothie. So, sorry. Gotta have some protein. And then I've gotta have something to drink. This is what I'm choosing to drink at the moment. Okay, bear with me, folks. So basically, I found all this fascinating, and this is not the first time that I've come across inner Earth psychic information about inner Earth. I've been shown cities before, and that absolutely fascinates me no end. So, but interdimensional. So I'm wondering if this vehicle, this ET ship that I can only classify as an ET ship, I'm wondering if this is a ship that can transport between inner Earth to the surface of Earth. That absolutely fascinates me. I do plan on doing some more research psychically and taking a look. Chris, I wonder if the ET presence in the Walker Lake Hawthorne area is in any way connected to the giant ancient humans that once lived in the area. That's a great question. The caffeine shifter shift. Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, there's so many ETs, so many, a lot in numbers, but a specific kind of ET around that Walker Lake Hawthorne area that literally make me physically ill. I get so sick that it almost puts me in the ER. I mean, I get a combination of heat exhaustion to the point of almost heat stroke, but and what starts it is always being around that lake. It's not the heat. Yeah, I don't do well in heat, but I've never had, I can't say that. I have had heat exhaustion on a couple of occasions, but it's been hormone based and we've been able to determine that medically and blah, blah, blah. But the only time I get this specific intensity as an ET abductee is from these really detrimental ETs. It's the only time I've ever felt it. And I felt it when I was a child on board a ship with my mom when we were abducted. And she and I were truly terrified. It's just really, truly frightening. And so, and I was 4 or 5 years old at the time. So, and it was a different race, different group of ETs who had taken me, or had taken me and my mom. So it just was a mind bender to me, all of this, all of how this comes about, how I receive information psychically. And I'm getting another ear pitch. That's fun. That means I'm going to get taken in the next 7 days. I've had a lot of ear pitches, more so last night I had 2 of them that were so high. And it's from a device. It's from a, I'm tagged. Anyway, correction, they were the second oldest found. Okay, good. Oh, okay. The oldest human remains discovered in North America were found near Pyramid Lake Reservation. Correction, they were the second oldest found. Okay, got it. Good to know, Chris. Thank you. So, it's been a hell of a mind bender to make all these realizations, and the fact that I kept getting told this thing is interdimensional, and I'm like, well, if it's interdimensional, is it the ship that's interdimensional, or is it the being that is interdimensional? Because was he able to create portals? Well, according to the MIB, it wasn't. They didn't find anything of that like. They found a lot of unalived victims. They did the testing, they tracked this thing. So there were hundreds of victims by the time it got to this location in Nevada. They had tracked it from essentially off of Florida and first, and then into Bermuda Triangle, I believe a ship or something. I don't remember exactly how he worded it or phrased it. And then from that area, and there were a lot of victims from all of that, and then they tracked it to Nevada and that area, that location. And they were truly, it wasn't a good situation with this thing. So then there was a little bit more that he talked about privately that I will not divulge, because it's that the other stuff is all public, so we can have those conversations. There are things that he told me about, because I asked about my stepdad and something that was very serious when he was military in Vietnam. And so I'm not having that conversation publicly regarding what information he told me and all of that. That's just not happening. But things make more sense to me now. And I appreciate that. And have I been able to validate information? Yeah, because I know different people who know this person. He did not show his face on camera for the show, but he does after the show, depending on how well he likes you, basically, is what I got. It's what I picked up from him. And so I don't know, I find this fascinating, and I thought, well, maybe this is a subject for tonight's. I don't usually just go, okay, this is going to be determined, and do that. But I don't know. I just found this fascinating, especially that ship. I've never seen a ship like that before, and I'm wondering if a ship like that. Yeah, and he said they never did find any kind of ship or any source of a ship. They just knew that they were hunting and tracking this thing, and that was the information. He did say that what's not in the movie is that the teenagers that were on the bus that were victims in the second movie, the second part of this series of events that took place, he did say that those teenagers, those kids, they were all of them were uh, children of military folks from a specific base. So I found that fascinating because that's not made public. None of that is talked about. That's something that can be researched. So if anybody wants to research it and do a deep dive, that's something that can be looked into. There are things that can be looked into that you might be able to find publicly. And that's why I'm talking about it, because with everything I've got going on, I don't have that kind of time anymore to do that kind of deep, heavy researching. Hi, Amy Rizzo. Welcome to the chat, and I hope you're finding this interesting information. At least they give you a quote-unquote courtesy call before you get taken up. Coincident? I think not. Yeah, they've been doing that. Only I didn't understand what that was until 2018. I mean, I've had that all my life, and we've been trying to figure out, oh, is it tinnitus? Is it this? Is it the mastoid cavity? Is it... No, it's a freaking device that is... It's a biological device that doesn't show up, and then I've got a device in my... And we've been able to confirm that with a person who reads auras, who has been doing aura readings for something like 20 years. And she was like, oh my God, this is what's going on in your aura. I've never, ever, in all my years, ever seen anything like this. Well, when I started doing research, my guides and then the ETs were like, yeah, it can be done. And then I checked with somebody else who would know, and who's extremely science oriented and can talk verbatim about the information. It's way beyond me, way beyond my purview, let's put it that way. And yeah, these devices, and they can take out old device and put in a new device, and the new devices can dissolve into the body in such a way, because they are it's a bio tracking device. And so it'll never show up on any of our technology for in the public domain. I should make that clarification. Like with MRIs and CT scans and all the, like my mom, they did an injection. I can't remember. I want to call it barium. And they did they used a device and scanned her heart. This is not something to where, and it was a form of ultrasound. It was a specific form of ultrasound to check her heart. And I'm thinking, well, couldn't they do something like that on the head? Or I've had MRIs, I've had CAT scans. There are things that have not shown up. And I'm like, well, then where the hell is this device? And then I got told by guides, oh, you're dealing with, it's right, you got one right here. You've actually got a few of them. And when I was a child, I had them in my nose, which is why I used to have all these nosebleeds every single day at a specific time while I was being abducted out of school. Totally different subject, and I can't even wrap my head around that one. I still can't wrap my head around that one. It just is so mind-bending to me. Okay, the coincidence was pertaining to the busload of MiLab kids. Thank you. I'm glad you said it that way, Chris. Robert, unless you are able to see stuff that should not be in the body. Yeah, exactly. Like you. Robert, who's in my chat, he's known. We nicknamed him the Human MRI because he has the ability to see things in the body because he's got psychic abilities. Little Cam, any protests where you're at? It's getting wild in LA. I'm watching live coverage. I don't know. I haven't seen news in 3 days, so I don't have any idea. Chris, oddly enough, some can be located with a tuning fork. I don't remember the note, but it has something to do with how the harmonics interact with the human body. Amy Rizzo, I have a similar situation. Yeah. So, well, and then I had ETs telling me, yeah, you've got them, because my psychic stuff is all on my right ear. But my ET stuff, every bit of it, doesn't matter which race of it's always my left ear. And so, I mean, I had all kinds of medical testing, including the really, to me, it's very invasive, where they shoot water into your ear to test your ears to find out what's going on. Oh, it's not. That one's painful. Yeah, and they give you a Valium. Back in the day, it was called Valium, and I'm like, that ain't gonna cut it for me. Because with my ability, it made me really ill. I mean, like really, really ill. It really scared me how ill it made me. Okay, that's driving. I thought so. Okay. So, anyway, yeah, you can have ET devices in you that literally dissolve. Now, I don't know if they started that in the 90s or in the 2000s. Um, but I know it can be done because the ones in the 70s, you could find those suckers. The one in the 70s and 80s, those could be found in the body. They were little like metal device, tiny, tiny little metal devices. And some people, very, not very many, but some people were able to have those removed medically. Doesn't help unless you're breaking contracts, because a lot of this stuff is soul contracts with ETs. Some and other people are not going to believe that. That's fine. What you believe is up to you. Has nothing to do with me. What you're choosing to do is all you, not me. I'm just telling you information that I know, that I have witnessed, that I've experienced. It's not fun. Amy Rizzo, after they took me, I developed a rare kidney disease. Yeah, that's also, oh, sorry, that's also happened. There's a number of folks that had all kinds of, as an abductee, they've had all kinds of medical situations. Some even get helped. Like, I've been absolutely appalled that I had 2 surgeries, and I think I've actually had more than that, but those are the 2 that I remember. I had carpal tunnel 1 year, and the following year, and that's by humans on my right hand. The following year, the ETs did my left hand, and I have I have pictures to prove the scars, or the scar. And it didn't last for very long, but it was definitely, it looked exactly like the kind of scar that I had on my right wrist. And then they did one on my throat and my eustachian tubes, or tube, I should say. And the woman that I mentioned earlier, Lynn, she could validate that, um, because she was the one that I called. And she's like, "What is wrong with your throat?" And I'm like, "This is what I got told." And at first I was scared, but yet I wasn't. And I don't know why I wasn't. I just, this is part. And I think probably I think probably because the fact that I knew that they were trying to help me because I wear a CPAP mask. So you have all of that in amongst this as well. So I'm a long time, I've been using oh God, uh, somewhere around 2003, 2005. So I've been using I've been using a CPAP mask for a lot of years, and I'm very consistent with it because it does help. So, and when they did the surgery, it's when COVID had hit. And when I wasn't able to get in to see my, not bariatric doctor, my sleep doctor. And because I was having regular, every 6 month, we had gotten it to every 6 month checkups and then a once a year checkup. And they're like, you use this on a consistent basis. You're doing really well with this. We decrease it when your weight goes down. We increase it when the weight comes back. These are the reasons why, blah, blah, blah. And in 2020, when the lockdown hit, they did this surgery on me in 2021. At the beginning of 2021. Amy Rizzo, humans used me as a guinea pig. Lots of surgeries. Called in divine help. Yeah, I mean, not fun stuff. So, and I understand that because, like Chris had mentioned, MiLabs, military laboratory abductions. Different ballgame altogether. You're dealing with a group of ETs who do work with, whether certain individuals believe that or not, I have personally witnessed it. I've seen military officers, and there are certain people in my life that can validate the fact that I have been able to state the kind of military uniforms at the time of the year. So, and I'm like, this is what it looked like. This is how it not hung on the body. This was the patches. These were the color of the uniform, the everything about it, the hat or lack of hat or the cap. Hang on, I've got my leg is starting to really start, and that's the other thing. I've got a back injury, so if you hear me squeak, I do apologize. I try not to do that while I'm live on air, but there are just times, like right now, I need to adjust, and my back is starting to freak out. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, you get all of this stuff going on, and it can be very convoluted. It's very difficult to figure all of this out, which is one of the reasons I strongly believe in journaling. Get a notebook. I'm on a new one. I'm on a purple one instead of a black one this time. Get a notebook. Write journal notes, because that's how you make, if things are happening to you, that is how you make correlations, especially when they're small things. And then you go back and you look at the notes and you're going, oh my God, that correlates with this, and I didn't put that together. You can put together the big stuff, but when it comes to all the little things that happen in ET abductions and in different things that take place, whether it's medical or different things, like, you can actually make correlations, and that's huge. It's truly huge, and you can make the connections and the dot 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 into how things play out in life. It's how I found out, how I put together the fact that when I get ET abducted, there's a season, because I'm also there's also there's a season to abductions, because I'm also in the hybrid, one of the various hybrid programs, hybridization programs, and I'm a surrogate mom to a lot of hybrid children, which is a whole nother subject. But the point being is that it's because of that I made, because of my journal notes, different book obviously, but because I was writing journal notes, that's how I made the realization, my God, there's a season to this. And then when I really became more awake and aware of what was taking place to me, that was when I started asking them questions. And I'm like, why is there a season? And it has to do with how they do the abductions and the sequence of events that take place. So and the locations of their abductees was really fascinating. Quite the conversation, and the fact that I was even allowed to remember it, because a lot of times they will block your memory, or if it's really significant, they will do what's called a screen memory. That's a whole nother ball game. But one of I'm going to say something that I did tell this retired MIB after the show, after the live broadcast was over. And that is that, for example, I still apparently still go through periodic anger modes. I don't know what else to call it. It's anger because of how I was abducted in certain situations. For example, in 2023, I think it was, our family went on vacation to I was gonna say Orcas Island. That's not it. San Juan Island. Yeah, I believe it was San Juan Island at the time. And because I'm in Washington State, and those islands are what are known as the San Juan Islands, off the coast of Washington State, and between Washington State and Canada, British Columbia, Canada. So we're on vacation, and I literally, my son and daughter-in-law are in the back seat. I'm in the front passenger seat, and somebody else is driving. And the two of them in the back seat are talking. They're talking about something, and I hear "Mom, Mama, Mom." And I literally thought it was my son. It was so close, I literally thought it was my son in the back seat. And I turned around and I said, "Did you just call Mom? Did you just say my name? Did you just say Mom?" And he goes, "No, not at all." And the two of them looked at me so strange. And that's when I turned around, face forward, and just went. And the sound was so strong. It was one of my hybrid boys on board. It was an adult on board an ET ship, and it was so close. They were so close. The sound sounded like he was sitting right next to me or right behind me. It was very loud, and it was done in a very specific way. So, yeah, it's quite the situation. And that weekend, how they did the abduction, I got really pissed over, because as I told this MIB, I said they turned us into mindless automatons. And what I didn't tell him was that no, my family was not there. None of the family was there during the abduction, but it was the first time I came out of, because what brought me out, consciously brought me out of the abduction. Well, not, I didn't stop being abducted. I was still abducted. But what broke the control that they had was the fact that in the middle of the night, when I knew I had been in bed in my PJs in a house on this island, and I was not dreaming. It was, I mean, I knew I wasn't dreaming. I was completely dressed in shoes, and what broke me out of that control that they did, hey Drew, was the fact that all the bodies, every human that was walking was breaking branches, because we were in the forest. We were a forested area is how I should say that. There were approximately 15 humans. They were all facing forward, all of us. I was towards the back, and there were 7 to 9 tall ETs. Excuse me, and somebody, stop it. They're not reptilian. You know better. They were what I classify as tall whites. They're not the tall whites that everybody knows as. I call these guys tall whites because they look like a gray. The difference is their body is, the color of their body is so pasty gray that from 3 feet away they look white. So, and that's how I broke out of all of that. It was very frustrating, and it was because of the sound of the breaking of the branches. There were so many little tiny twigs and branches that we were walking over that the cracking actually is what triggered it. And I got really pissed off because they turned us into what I call mindless automatons. So basically, they got each person was in PJs because it's the middle of the frickin' night, and they had each one of us get dressed, because normally that's not how it is when you're taken individually. When you're taken individually, you're usually going up butt ass naked. It's not always that way, but you're usually going up butt ass naked. And in this situation, as a group, we were all dressed. We're walking over, and it was on this island. It was a group of us on this island, and we were literally surrounded. And I'm screaming in my head, "Wake up! Everybody, wake up!" Because I was fully conscious. Well, when you do that, these ETs that were surrounding us, surrounding this group of people, of humans who were being abducted in a group, they're all telepathic and they're all essentially asleep. And basically, they become these mindless automatons that get walked to a specific location, and then you get up through the light. You literally are, once the light comes down, it's like instantaneous transportation, and it's like right up. And in an individual abduction, it's quite different. I mean, you get into that light and you're taken gently up. Well, with a group, it's very fast, and it just really, and that's the thing, is when I say these ETs are telepathic, not all ETs are telepathic, but these kind of guys, they are beings, whatever. They are, and so they could hear me yelling and screaming. And I had one behind me go, "Nikki, you need to calm down." And I'm like, none of us should be doing this. And I got pissed. I was really pissed off. I wanted to be back in my bed. Now, it wasn't until the following day that I heard my hybrid son's voice. And I was absolutely ecstatic. "Hello, Juan. How you doing? Where's our free will?" That's exactly what pissed me off, Amy Rizzo, is that I was like, because they have control of the human brain. They literally are so advanced and have such a high frequency that they can control us and make us these little mindless automatons under their control. Pissed me off up one side and down the other. I was not okay with that, which is why I was yelling and screaming. I was yelling and screaming in my head, screaming at them to wake up. And when I was heard, because believe me, I was heard by all of them, none of them turned. None of the ETs, none of the 7-foot tall ETs turned to look at me. None of them. They all stayed in one position. NK, hi, how are you, sir? I'm assuming you're talking to one of the guys in here? Anyway, so basically, and welcome to my chat. Hello. Um, I was very angry and I was very frustrated, and I still get very angry over that situation. Now, did I get to see my kid? Yeah, I think I did, but I can't say that for sure because I don't have a memory of it. I have a sensation. I have a body muscle memory sensation that I actually got to hug him. But I don't have, and that never hit me or occurred to me until I heard his voice in my head and he was being telepathic. So the following day, when we were all out driving, we were on literally the person driving. I think we were doing like 45 or 50 on the road, and my son is in the back seat. And I asked him, "Did you just say mom?" And he's like, "No, why?" And I'm like, never mind. And I turned back around and I, kind of got a strange look from the two of them. And I just went telepathic and started having this conversation with my hybrid son, who was literally, I asked him, I said, "Where are you?" He said, "We're literally above you. I can see you." And and that's the kind of thing where I became very, very happy because I got to, um, and he didn't say he saw me that night before, but he said, "I can see you right now." Is basically what he said. So, um, and I looked through the skylight of the vehicle. I looked outside, and he's like, "Well, you have a huge smile," and I'm like, "Yeah, I get to talk to my kid." So that was interesting. Kind of cool. I appreciate things like that. So anyway, that's about the information. But those are the kinds of things that happen. Individual versus group. That was my first real memory being abducted in a group um, of people. It also really pissed me off for a very good reason. Um, my mom and I were abducted in a van. That's the other thing that I told the MIB was that the retired MIB was that when my mom and I were abducted, um, that time, and I mean literally off the freeway, off of I-5 in Southern Oregon, somewhere between Southern Oregon and just before Northern California. We were in the mountains, and because that's what real Southern Oregon is in on I-5, and so here we are. We're dealing with this situation, and I still, to this day, I still have the sound of the wheels spinning because my mom had her foot on the pedal, the gas pedal, and when they picked the van up that she was driving and that I was a passenger in, and she had a grip on the steering wheel like this, and she's screaming in her head, and I could hear her screaming in her head, and then there were a bunch of other things and she and I became telepathic. So that experience wasn't so pleasant. We were literally forced to stop doing anything physical, couldn't move our head, could move our eyes, and I could see mom like this, and I just kept watching her. Um, yeah, actually I do, Amy. So Amy Rizzo is asking, sorry, I'm late to the chat. No, you're fine, hon. Do you think there are more of those kind of ETs on Earth? Yeah, I do. Um, I believe, based on all that I know and all of my experiences, that yeah. Do I think that they're always on Earth? No, I think they come and go. There are ones that do the hybridization program that I'm very, very aware of. And I also know that there are ones that are of that same race, but they're not connected to the better kind that do the hybridization programs. And I say better kind because I don't know what else to call them. Um, Whereas the other ones, they work with government because I've seen them work with government. I've visually seen them. I've got memories of them with military officers. Let alone other kinds of very interesting 9-foot tall ETs that are very reptilian-ish, that I can't quite classify as a reptilian, but possibly some version of a reptilian. That's a whole nother subject. You'd have to go back through my different broadcasts, my different podcasts replays to find where that is, and look in the description box, because a lot of times I'll say it in the description box, or I'll put a summary of it, seen ET or some such thing, or ETs discussed, or some fashion or form of that. Yeah, so look back through and you'll find a lot of that's the other thing I haven't promoted yet. Or an hour and 30, I'm an hour and 30 minutes into this. So if you appreciate any of this information, or are interested in it, and please click the follow button, and the like button, and share it out if you can, or share the other ones out. So I can be reached at restore, this is the email, restorebelief2022@gmail.com. Okay. I can also be contacted facebook.com/Nikki, NIKKI .Jacobs, JACOBS .376. I do not typically do the friend requests unless I actually know you. However, I do have a psychic page that is linked to that Facebook account, and if you so choose, you can follow it, and I post things there, but I also do post quite a bit publicly. So that's the little bit of promotion. I don't do a lot of promoting myself. I mean, it is what it is. I'm like, if you like the information, go for it, follow. And like, I do not make money on any of this. These are my experiences. I've been consistent. Oops, device is starting to get a little too warm, and it's starting to have some problems in staying in the container it is in. So we might be, the camera might go. Anyway, the point being is that if you like this information, click on follow, and like and subscribe, and you'll find a lot more other information on my YouTube channel. Ramsay, show camera around. No, this is what's up right now behind me is a closet wall. And this is a tapestry that I got off of Amazon. I have an actual curtain covering some information over here. And so, no, I'm in a separate room. I'm not going to do that because I'm in an apartment, and I don't want roommates and all of that. And there's animals here and stuff. So I try to do this very quietly as best as I can, so as not to disturb other people. But sometimes it's a little on the difficult side. There have been times where, because there's a dog here, and there have been times where the dog toy is played, and some people have a real issue with that, and others don't, and yet other things disturb other people. So I'm not right now. I've been disabled for quite a while, and I haven't even gotten disability, so we're not even going down that pathway. And I have been on psychic groups. I've been on psychic teams before. I've done an extensive amount of energy work. I didn't come out publicly until 2018. end of 2017, really 2018, even to medical, regarding the psychic medium stuff. And they're like, oh my God, it's this, it's that. And I'm like, I have seen spirits from the time I've been in my cradle as an infant. So don't come at me and say this is a medical psychological bullshit. I've known people that have known me all my life. I know people that have known me for over 30 years. All of them can tell you that, yeah, I've always, that's fine, that people have done, that they've seen, they've witnessed, they've experienced what I've been able to do. I choose not to make money off of my psychic abilities, and there's reasons for that. Other people are like, you're crazy, you've got these. I'm not. I used to be a psychic on demand to some degree, but I've never really been. Thank you. I appreciate that, Robert. I've never really been one to go about that route because I truly enjoy helping people. And it means a great deal to me. So to be able to do that, and I remember what it's like. I truly, I remember what it was like. It's not an easy thing. And it's a hell of a choice. The one and only Nicole. Hello, Nicole. Do you know any Alpha Kenny body? No. Alpha Kenny body? No. I have no idea what that is. So anyway, and I've worked with Robert numerous times, so he's my mod right now. There's others that have been in chat, like Drew. I've worked with Drew. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. And they know what I can do. I've worked with quite a few others. I've been on a ufology team. Hang on, let's see if I can grab. I don't know if I've still got. Yeah, I do. I still have the mug. So I was on the UFOI team. Lip prints, but anyway, was on the UFOI team at one time. Worked with, to some degree, with Lee Strauss, a number of others that were on the team, and I've worked with Sasquatch, had mind speak with Sasquatch. People are gonna freak out over that. I don't care. This is my experiences. This is what I'm talking about. I've had an awful lot of experiences in my life, and I keep getting told you need to write a book. Fine, okay, that'll happen one day. When, I don't know. I've got lots of bits and pieces of it going. So, and I'm a targeted individual and have been. They've been slowly, it's not been fun. So, anyhow, Amy Rizzo, I talk to one in my dreams, the same one. You talk to who in your dreams, dear? Be specific, sweetie. You talking ET? Because, okay, here's the thing about dreams, or spirits for that matter. Sasquatch. Yes. Yeah, for that matter, Sasquatch. Sasquatch is telepathic. Certain Sasquatch clans use frequency, use energy. They do talk to people. Usually the ones that are telepathic. There are some that are not. they may be rogue. They may, I mean, you want to look at somebody like gosh, what, Robin Haynes, Robin Haynes, um, who has, I mean, she's like the go-to person. The other one is oh my god, Kiwanis, Kiwani, Kiwani. I don't remember their. It's a married couple, and they've been phenomenal. That's the other thing you'll find on my um, you will find on my YouTube channel that there are other people I refer out to because I don't have a problem with that. If there's something that I know, I'll talk about it. If there's something I don't know, I'll flat out frickin' tell you. People have a hard time with that. Well, you're a psychic, you should know. Da, 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 da. Doesn't work like that. The other side of it is that with the different kind of energy work. Oh, and regarding dreams, that's what I was going to say. So that deals with a form of higher consciousness and REM sleep if it's dreams. REM sleep can, and the psychic connection, that's something that people need to look into. Even in government PDFs and forms, like the what is it, CIA.gov or something, you will find, or you used to, I don't know if you still can, it's been a long time since I've done any looking, but from what I'm hearing from other people, they can look and find information. Point being is that in dreams, there is a psychic connection. You can make a psychic connection. And it's the same way with Sasquatch. Sasquatch and ET, certain races of ET can make a psychic connection. And it's really cool when it happens, usually. I've had Sasquatch open portals. It's nothing, it's like really kind of trippy when you have winter time and you've got a nice toasty warm home, and the next thing you know, you get this large oval type of portal. You don't see it, but you feel it, and usually, depending upon the ET that's doing it, and you smell it and you feel the ice cold snow because they're in the mountains. You can smell the snow, you can taste it, you can feel it, you can feel the ice cold of, say it's 28 degrees and you've got a 72-degree home or a 75-degree home, and you've got this one area and you're either sitting or you're walking around, and it's like, who opened a door? And then you turn around and you're like, oh my god, you're here. And you go and sit down, and it's a hell of a shock. I mean, it's a hell of a mind bender. And sometimes they'll talk to you, sometimes they won't. It's very rare if they'll talk to you. But like I was saying last week, I had a Sasquatch come in, and I was like, honey, please don't enter my home unless you wash your bottom. Because that's all I smelled was his. And it wasn't his dingling that I was smelling. I was like, dude, you need a bath before you come into my home, please. That's bad. I'll deal with the nasty dog smell. I'll deal with the garbage smell. I'll deal with all of the good smells, even the sometimes you can even, well, this isn't a good smell, but I'd forgotten about this until just the second. There was a Sasquatch that was eating deer meat, raw deer meat, and I could smell the blood. I could smell the meat, the raw meat. And I was like, oh, seriously, no, I can't do that. Can't handle that smell. Can you not? And they've never done it since. Usually it's dry dog fur, like really long dog fur that has been wet, that is dry. Then there's times where Like my favorite is when a Sasquatch has taken a bath somehow, and all you smell, and they just laid down to dry off in pine boughs. They've created a bed of pine boughs, and oh my god, it's just that scent is just, it's a wonderful smell. It's just really nice. Excuse me. So and then there have been times where you can tell where they've been laying in dirt. Their fur is, or their fur, I don't know if it's fur or hair, uh, excuse me, but whatever it is, you can smell it, and um, it doesn't smell bad, depending upon if they've bathed or not, or how long it's been since they've bathed. But see, that's the thing. My clairs, uh, like clairvoyant and all the others that go with it, and there's more than 8 clairs, because I can pick something up and or touch a door handle or walk by a wall and feel energy. And I mean, my clairs are, I've got a lot of clairs that are up and working, even with the targeting that I've experienced. And so uh you know, I forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, so the clairs come into play, and so this one time the Sasquatch had been laying in dirt in a cave and was near railroad ties, and the only reason why I could knew it was railroad ties was because I could tell by the smell. Um, Even with a plugged up, because I'm starting to get a plugged up nose right now because I'm starting to get sinus stuff, but even with that, it's like I can smell it psychically. I don't know how else to say it, but it's one of the clairs, and I can tell by the smell where they're at, and then I start getting psychic visions as to Sasquatch, as to where they're at, or what kind of cave it is. Like this one was a cave that was a mining cave at some point, somewhere in Washington in the Cascade Mountains, and there were railroad ties, and I could smell the iron on the railroad ties. I could, or from the railroad ties, I could smell the creosote on wood that was on some, holding up some of the walls. I could smell the wood, the aged. There's a very defined scent of aged wood, especially when it's that dry and tinderish, um, and filled with creosote and all of that. So I could smell his entire environment on him. Um, it's mostly been the males that have come to check on me, but there are times where I will have a female Sasquatch come in. And I've been out camping. This was in an RV uh, this one time in, well, it was last year. I don't remember what month though. So anyway, sometime last year, I was in an RV and they came and looking for me. I was over on the Washington Peninsula with family, and the Sasquatch came looking for me. We knew you were over in this area. We wanted to come and say hi. I had 2 of them. There were 2 females. One was younger, one was older, not much older. One was, I think she was probably in her 30s, early 30s, and the other one was much older. And they were both very excited to see me and talk to me. And they it was the towards the end of the middle of the night. It was around somewhere around 4 or 5 in the morning, and the light was just starting to, I mean, really starting to come out, because it was summer. Excuse me, because it was summertime here at the time, and so yeah, I mean, they literally woke me up, and they were literally poking on the window, but doing it to where the others wouldn't hear. But like when I've had, for example, when I've had friends who've wanted to wake me up, and they themselves are psychic, I have a barrier. I have a very specific barrier that is up. And they will knock, and when they knock, not the ETs, but the Sasquatch are very much like this too. Um, it rings like a very loud bell, like a huge one of those really gigantic church bells, and it's like this bong bong, and it resonates, and I mean it literally wakes me up out of a sound sleep. And I'm like, okay, who's at the barrier? What do you want? And that's when I put out the feelers. Well, they did this with me. So as I think of it, I'm thinking they're tapping on the window. No, they're tapping on my barrier, is what they're actually doing. And I was in that I'm like, oh, I need to move. And I'm not really quite awake. Okay, I'm going back to bed. And pull the blankets up over me, and I'm like, okay. And I'm starting to relax, and the next thing I hear is this, this tapping sound. And I'm like, my eyes flew open, and I'm like, okay, who's there? And I literally whisper, who's there? What? and then I hear the younger Sasquatch go, I found her! And she yelled it. Dead silent across this campground. And she yells it, and I'm like, I heard you. And she goes, not you, the other one. I went, okay. Can you not yell? And she goes, well, I did think about it. I was like, please do, because that was loud. So that was the start of my morning that morning. So, and then they were telepathic with me for a very short amount of time, and they found me, and they very much just wanted to keep an eye on me. And they'd been looking for me, which I thought was so bizarre. So they had been looking in. Basically, what I found out is that in their search for me, which is weird because they tracked my energy there, but I guess that weekend I had put a very specific kind of bubble around me because there were bears that weekend that had been talked about, and I didn't realize. Well, I knew I'd put a protective barrier around me, but I didn't know that I'd put that kind of barrier around me. And the younger one said, we were having problems finding you. And so that they had gone to every RV within like this whole curve where there were RVs, and we were trying to find you. And I was just like, oh my God. So I learned something, because normally that they can pick it up, and I didn't even realize that I had put that kind of a barrier. I knew I would put a barrier around me, but I didn't know I put that kind of a barrier around me. And that was really rather interesting. So I learned something with that. So that is a little bit about who I am, what I can do. You got some of the ET stuff. If you want to hear more about the different so this thing about that movie, I honestly, I don't know if I know that the being, whether it's an ET or an inner Earth being or whatever. Oh, that's the other thing. From that movie, it's real. I don't know if it's lab created. I don't know if it's human lab created, or if it's ET lab created, or exactly what. Some people in chat were asking this MIB, well, is it a Mothman? Is it this? Is it that? Because it had wings. And this guy was this military MIB military. This MIB was saying that he remembered it with 2 rows of teeth. Well, the psychic hit that I got off it was that there were actually 3 rows of teeth. That the teeth weren't just yellow, they were actually partly orange, and that somewhere something at the back of the throat or some part of the inner of the mouth was orange, and he said that the tongue was purple. And I'm like, that's not what I'm seeing, but somewhere in the mouth there was something that was orange, and I was like, well, this is fascinating. I've never experienced that before. Robert, they were looking to talk about your extended warranty. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, so there are different Sasquatch clans, and they do not want to be classified as a Sasquatch. It's the word for them that means family is the word clan. Especially those that have, especially those who have, what's it called? I got a brain fart going. Sorry, guys. Especially those Sasquatch that have abilities. That's what I was trying to say. So anyway, I'm an hour and 55 minutes into this. There's about 5 people watching from the looks of it right now. There's been anywhere from 15 or 16 in here, or 17. Somewhere, okay, I'm going to say between 15 and 17 people in here. We'll see how this goes. Oh, I left my clock. Hello. Apparently I just unexpectedly went off and came back on again. Anyway, so it's 9:52 p.m. Pacific time, my time. If you have any questions, ask now, because otherwise I'm going to be ending this in the next 4 minutes. Amy Rizzo, go relax. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I very much appreciate that. Yeah, I need to take a pain med for this low back issue. It's just a bit much right now, which is one of the reasons why my cheeks are starting to go red, because the pain is starting to pick up. Anyway, if you have more questions, please ask, and I will try to answer to the best of my ability. And I have worked with spirits a lot. I have done a lot of paranormal. I have helped people when they've had emergencies. I've had 3 people in the last, well, 3 people in the last, oh God, what's it been? 2 months? That have said, hey, I've got an emergency situation. Can you help me with it? And I'm like, yeah, if I can. And if not, I will find a way to find somebody else if they can help. And if that's not possible, there are other, because the group that I'm on, I do a live broadcast on Wednesdays. It's not my show, it's somebody else's show. And I've been on that show 4 years now, I think. I think it's been 4 years. But I was on and off, I think, for like 5 or 6. So you'd have to go back into all of that. So anyway, that link is in the description box below. That's the S4 bunker. It's also known as the S4 paranormal bunker. Right now it's on YouTube. It was on Spreaker, Spreaker. And so, yeah. People know me. So if you want to check all of that out. Anyway, on that note, I think since no more questions, I'm going to go. Take very good care. I hope you have a great weekend. And enjoy. Stay, if you've got hot areas, temperature wise, then I hope you stay cool. If you're on the southern hemisphere of this planet and it's your winter time, I hope that you stay warm. Wherever you're at, please take care. And as far as I know right now, my next live broadcast will be Thursday the 12th. I do not know what we're going to be talking about right now. Ah, Robert. Robert's in Australia. He's saying it's 78 right now. Okay, then you're warm. Anyway, take very good care, everybody. Hey, Drew and Amy are saying hello. Okay. Anyway, take very good care, folks. Look at the channel. Give a thumbs up. Uh, hit the subscribe button. I'm a once a week. And if I'm not, I will tell you, or I will post it either on my Facebook page, and usually on this channel. So, anyway, take very good care, guys. Bye. Like, subscribe, and share. That's what I wanted to say before I forgot again. There we go. Bye, guys. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate it. Bye.